people are getting a good look at your studio, man. It's like
Yeah, I know. Too much info.
well professional. Crazy. Things have changed, man, since we first met. You got the fucking solo pad now. Things are on the increase. Anyway, yeah, let's start off by you introducing yourself to anybody who does not know who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Ephraim. I am 23 years old, from the Bay Area, California, born and raised. And I really didn't get into this space in general until coming across Kristian Casanova's content. So watched a handful of videos and decided to get into contact with Kristian. For to fast forward 4 difficult months, we were finally able to meet up in Warsaw. He gave me the playbook. I really just worked with him on pushing through my social barriers and landed back in the US a new man. So since May 2023, so earlier this year, I've just been, my life has really exploded. Funny enough, Kristian, I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, wow, my life has exploded since like moving out of living with a girl, but like truly since like meeting and working with you. There have been so many changes in my life, and it's kind of ridiculous, which I'm sure we'll end up going over. But just to circle back, so worked with Kristian, started improving my life in all areas, and here I am in the best place I've been financially, socially, physically, and I'm ready to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, to this day, I think the Warsaw experience, it's certainly been one of the highlights of my year. But like whenever I look back on it, I've just got such nostalgia for it, like such fond memories. And like I think some memories are just best kept like that. Like they're so special. Like when you've got them like stored in your mind, that I don't feel as though like we could ever recreate anything as like unique or special as that. Because like you say, there was so many vicissitudes, like turbulent moments that we had to get through. Like I got fucking banned from America. I remember being in that airport. Like I'd been banned from America. I'd lost a shitload of money. I was sat on the floor speaking to my mum, and this cleaning lady came over to me like, "You can't sit there." I was like, "Oh, I can't get much worse than this." Please, lovely cleaning lady, show mercy,
please.
And then obviously you got your passport fast tracked, able to basically just get me out of that ditch that essentially I dug for myself. It was my own fault I got banned from America because I didn't do the necessary research for it. Everything happened very quickly,
right.
And then I think when you demonstrate that level of faith in me, like, no, listen, I really want to have this experience with you. I'm prepared to do whatever I need to do to have this. Like, automatically, you just became like one of my most treasured friends. Even though we'd never met each other, you just like met me like on the internet. We'd had calls, like we were sending voice messages back and forth. But like the level of like commitment and faith and optimism that you displayed to me, like I explained in the previous video, like life's a value exchange. Like you only feel as though you matter when you make other people matter. And that's why my mission, it was just to over deliver with the value, to like delight you beyond belief, and to make sure that your entire life holistically was truly transformed. So do you want to just share with the guys what you were actually like before we had this experience? Because I think that'll be relatable, because I think guys are probably going to see you now and they're like, oh, well, this guy's probably had it easy his entire life. Like he's a #natural. It probably all came really easy to him. Like, you want to share some anecdotes?
Yeah, absolutely. And then just real quick before I do that, to go back to what you just mentioned about like value exchange and me having faith in you, the reason I did was because there's just a certain level of, maybe congruence is the word, that you can just really see that you permeate in your videos. And it's a lot different from a lot of other creators where you can tell, okay, this person's bluffing, this person isn't speaking from experience, but it's a culmination of like the video footage of you going from troggy to where you are now. And then notice how I'm starting to casually use that word. Thanks for adding that to the vocab.
The lexicon is getting more fierce now.
That's the main thing I got from Kristian, was words like that. So, but yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just like a certain level of believability there, where I was like, okay, this guy is serious. So it doesn't really matter that he got banned from America. It doesn't matter about all of these little hiccups that we have along the way. The end result is still the same. It's just like it's a harder path to get there. So that's how I saw it. So yeah, to talk about where I was previously. So I think it's relevant probably to start at like high school, like I guess we could say like pre-high school. So pre-high school, I was a gamer. I love Black Ops. I love Call of Duty. I love playing like NBA 2K. At least I did. So that was my thing. Was I wasn't becoming like socially lubricated early on in life. Sure, I was talking and playing on the playground, etc. But it was just a lot of like isolation, playing games in my room for hours to days on end. I'd go spring breaks where I wouldn't even come out of my apartment. My mom would bring me meals to my door. It was pathetic. And when I got to high school, I kind of lucked out when my friends convinced me to play football, and like that guidance paired with natural athletic ability just led to me thriving in that environment. And as we all know, with football, with sports in high school comes popularity, comes just free friends. And so I was able to get acclimated socially because of just the sports that I played and getting invited to different events. And so thankfully I had experiences with people socially, but then mainly with girls earlier on. Now, to be fair, there weren't many intimate experiences, so I wasn't seasoned there, but at least I knew how to decently interact with girls. I got better at that in high school. And then there was a huge shift that happened after high school because I went from Mr. Football Player, top of the food chain, to day after graduation. I'm 18-year-old, no skills. I don't know how to navigate the world. I don't know how to interact with people, how to speak the corporate talk, all of that. So I really had to just start from the bottom of the ladder. Uh, there's a long story about why I didn't go to college, but long story short, I didn't go, and so I started working like low paying labor jobs. So I was washing windows, I was cleaning gutters, I was pressure washing, I was working at a restaurant, and I'm very thankful because through these skills, I was able to learn hard work. I was able to learn how certain people can look down on you based on your profession, and I kind of made it a note never to become like that, but then also to just never take this kind of work for granted. Because sure, one day I might be Mr. Programmer, big tech making big money, but that doesn't make me inherently better than anybody just because they're washing a window. So that was kind of a tangent, but yeah, just to bring it back, I just worked on myself socially while I was like increasing my income and learning skills, and then I was briefly now to tie it into what's relevant. I was briefly introduced to this space, approaching women, interacting with girls, seeking out uncomfortable situations. I was briefly introduced to this 18, 19 years old through YouTube, through Julian Blanc, through the Red Pill rabbit hole. And I kind of went away from that for a bit, thought that I knew everything at 19 years old. And then, yeah, found myself at 22 with the big tech, big money job. I was looking decent physically, but I still had no activity when it came to girls. It was just the occasional Tinder match or some interesting looking lady at a bar. And so at that point I came across Christian's content literally like a couple months after I got laid off. Which now in hindsight, I'm so thankful I got laid off, because that is what allowed for the gap for us to fly to
Mhm.
Warsaw and get together. So yeah, it's a bit about me. So now, yeah, today here we are after our experience, and my life is changed for the better.
And how did you find it, like going from Warsaw back home? Because I think that's always an interest. I'm always curious about that because you could go to a fitness retreat in Thailand. They teach you the diet, nutrition,
Mhm.
train this way, like give you everything you could possibly need. But ultimately, a personal trainer can't stop you from stuffing your face with donuts at like 12 p.m. There has to be a level of self accountability there. And obviously, you knew that going back home. How were you able to actually manage that? Like, was there anything that you did after working with me that made the transition process easier?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is that spending 4 weeks with you, where we were aggressively
Mm,
hitting the streets and doing the approaches, is really what set the stage for when I got back home, because there's only so much that I could have unlearned in, let's say, the week since I'd been back. And so even if I was scared, which thankfully I was able to actually go and act on my impulses, but even if I was scared, I think that we had just built up so much history. We'd flexed the muscle so much, there's no way that it would atrophy that quickly. So, but as far as techniques, not necessarily. It was more so just what I'm realizing now, and I'll talk about it with you. Funny enough, it has to do with this this shock watch that I just bought. What I, what I'm realizing now at 23 is that I'm much more motivated by the fear of not acting on what I know I need to do than I am on being motivated by like the ivory tower that we talk about, the destination, getting to the place, and
Mm.
like that all looks great to me, but like it motivates me less than running away from the average, running away from the mediocre. And so that's kind of the mindset that I had when I was back was, well, it's less about I want to go and approach that girl, and it's more about I don't want to not do it because of how
Mm.
shitty I'll feel afterwards, and how mad it'll make me, and how I'll be thinking about it all day. This actually, and which I still deal with because this literally happened to me on Monday, which was my last day at my previous job. And I was like, well, shit, I could burn the streets down today. Why would I not? Why didn't I not go up to that girl? I saw this amazing looking girl, but yeah, so, anyways, long story short, I don't really have many techniques. I know a lot of guys that are in the community that you built up. They do have like these pre-gaming techniques. You talk a lot about it. Hit the gym, cold shower, do these things, and
Mhm.
I do definitely find a difference as far as like just my overall state if I do
Mm.
those things previous. But as far as just finding success, yeah, it's really just like not wanting to not do it more than anything.
I really like that because oftentimes I try and get guys not to experience failure in advance. Like confidence is being able to almost experience success in advance, right? But I actually think now that you said that, experiencing failure in advance is actually valuable because you've got that FOMO kicking in. It's like if you see that girl and then you imagine yourself not doing it and then you experience pain, it's almost
Mm,
like, to borrow a phrase from Joe Dispenza, you're able to remember your future, right? You're able to literally remember your future because you know what
I
that
like that.
pain will inflict onto you by experiencing failure in advance. You're like, well, if I don't do it, I know I'm going to kick myself. And also, I think it's important to know that every single person, it doesn't matter who you are, everyone lets opportunities slide. I think that's important for guys' overall mental state to recognize this. Like, not everyone, actually, no one on this earth is approaching every single girl, like literally
Right.
cashing in on every opportunity. But I think as long as you are taking action on at least 80% of them, you're doing an incredible job. But I do think in this space, guys do need to be slightly kinder to themselves because, everyone's had it. You go out there, you see one opportunity, you don't do it, then another one, and then you let a few go, and then now you're in your head and you're like, oh, it's not my day today. I find the best thing to do is just be able to laugh about it. Just like, oh, fuck's sake, Kristian, stop being a pussy. You know you can do it. So why are you not going over there and just like be like a coach to myself? That like really helps me making a bit of a joke out of it, actually having
Yeah.
fun with it, because this can get like unnecessarily serious at times. If you are
Yeah.
going, because I know like I think we disagree. We healthily disagree on different things in this community. We have different philosophies about training. Like I like to schedule my training, right? I like to know I'm
Right.
going to be training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I like to know what's going to be happening. You're completely different with your training philosophy, are you?
Yes. Yeah, it's funny, and I like that you say healthy disagreement because I don't think there is a like a right or wrong way to approach this. And then just to take this another level, this just kind of speaks to your humility, your social intelligence. You're able to be a coaching figure in this space, but then also not like try to just hold on to this role forever. Like you're able to
Yeah.
bring your guys up with you
Mm.
and invite healthy discussion rather than like dictate things and how things should be. But yeah, just for me, I think maybe part of this, as I was thinking more about it, was that there was kind of like a habit built in high school because playing football, they had us in the weight room, year round. So I think that be- because I didn't have to schedule it myself and that was kind of offloaded to the coach, that kind of just stuck with me throughout the years so that now my body is more so just like craving the workout rather than me scheduling it out because I won't go otherwise. I'll just go because my body's so much more used to being sore and being in that like recovery state now than it is not being it. And then of course seeing the physical benefits, it's like why would I not go? So yeah, it's
And
more than a philosophy, but go ahead.
when because the training philosophy links, in my opinion, to the cold approach philosophy, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're when you return home, you're more of a acting on impulse type of, let's say, player, a player of the
yeah,
game of life. Like you're able to just go out there, not necessarily have to do any like pre-gaming rituals or get yourself into
yeah,
state or warm up. You're able to just go, right?
yeah,
I think that's more rare. I think, and for me as well,
yeah,
right? Even
absolutely.
like the level of proficiency that I've got to, I just feel better in myself.
Mhm.
I've already like stacked wins previously in the day. Like, I feel as though then I'm operating from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack. I personally, I'm not one of those guys who's like, yeah, just approach that girl, even if you're feeling shitty, even if you're like an
Yeah,
absolute mess, you just finish the. I'm not an advocate of that. I think
yeah,
if you are going to approach a girl, if I'm going to approach a girl, I want to present my best self to her because, like, the way
yeah,
that I start that relationship in my mind, and I might be wrong about this, and it's fine. I want that relationship to start from a place of I felt whole when I approached her, right? And I could flip that. I'm thinking about it now. I could flip that. I could approach her looking like shit, and I turn up on the date, and she's like, "Fuck me, you look a lot different now." So it works. It works. Again, there's no right or wrong ways. I'm debating with myself as I'm saying this, which is beautiful. It's good to actually
yeah.
be able to question your own belief systems. Um, but yeah, for you, that just seems to work, right?
Right. I think the thinking behind there is that there is not much thinking. So when I'm going into those scenarios, it's more so just like you said, it's the act on impulse portion, but part of it is the running away from the not doing it, like running away from the failure. But also, yeah, it's just like I didn't with a lot of things that I do in life, I don't really like to make them a big deal. I don't
Mm,
like to make like birthdays a big deal. I don't want to celebrate when I got a new job. It's just like that's we're checking that off the list. So I see the pretty girl and it's less about I mean it is about I'm attracted, yeah, I'd love to have her number, but it's less about like I need to make sure that the delivery is great. I need to make sure that I'm in state and my conversation skills are up. For me, it's just like I just need to get in there and figure it out. Like I need to put myself in that uncomfortable situation. Back when we were in Warsaw, I remember the first video I took was I'm allowed to do things nervous. Like I'm allowed to go into job interviews nervous. I'm allowed to work with you nervous. And I'm allowed to go into these approaches not fully in state. I'm allowed to be nervous. I'm allowed to fumble over my words. And oftentimes I find that like even when I'm fumbling over my words, she's still so blown away. Like she's so blown away by the fact that I came up and just delivered the compliment anyways that I'm thinking I'm fumbling over my words and she's thinking, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. Like she's
mm,
barely even registering what I'm saying because she's still like, all right, is this a joke where the camera, you know? So it's like,
yeah.
I guess for me, it's just like taking the spotlight off myself and realizing, yes, I don't feel the best. Yes, I'm not socially warmed up, but like she's probably not either. And like you say, no one's allergic to a compliment. So yeah, it's just putting myself in there is the thinking behind that. It's like fuck it, like I should get in there. Yes, I'm wearing my beanie because I just came from the gym. Yes, I haven't shaved in a few days, but like she's still beautiful and I can still put myself in there and she can still give me a positive or negative response and I can still learn from the experience either way. And the thing that I for sure get out of this is the feeling of not failing myself. So
Mm.
it's kind of a win either way.
Yeah, I think giving yourself permission to suck is a great practice. Like just really just giving yourself that permission to be shit. And I think sometimes guys will make the excuse of like, and I've done this plenty of times, like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. No, you're insecure. That's what it means when you say I'm
Yeah.
a perfectionist. If I say to myself, Kristian, I'm such a perfectionist, no, it just means you're insecure. That's why you're
Yeah.
saying that. It's a defense mechanism. So stop bullshitting yourself, Kristian. It's not because you want to be perfect, it's because you want to be validated. And I think when you are starting with this process, depending on where you start in your life, a big part of it, especially in the early days, you are going out there for validation. You are going out
Mhm.
there because you want to get permission from the feminine to know that you are worthy to some extent. You are seen, you are witnessed, you're important. And that's absolutely fine. I think when guys are starting with this, they put so much pressure on themselves. Like they're trying to be like seductive and flirty and playful, charismatic, magnetic, and it's like it's too much too soon. I always say to
Yeah.
people, just treat the first 100 you do as batting practice. They're going to be fucking abysmal. You can see mine as well. Like, I've been documenting this shit for over 3 years now. You can literally just watch back, like, just everything. It's awful, but it
Yeah.
is a right. It is a rite of passage. And what is it? A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. I was speaking to Dan before, and he's like, "Well, worst case scenario, you've got a funny story to tell." And that's kind of how I view now, like my tapestry of life. It's like it's just a funny story. Like at the time when I
Yeah.
was creating that content, I genuinely thought I looked good. Like you don't get on
Yeah. Yeah.
camera, you just don't get on camera. I think there was a level. No, there was definitely a level of like irrational, delusional self confidence. I'm just sat on that fucking floor with no clothes on, being like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm day gaming. Look how good my approaches are." Like I genuinely thought I looked good. So
Right.
I think, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you think about this, but I do. I think that you do need a level of delusion to succeed. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got no evidence stacked up, no one's actually believing in you, no one's telling you. Like I was on like £24.82 of universal credit. I was in that grotty apartment. There was no optimism, right? But I think confidence is optimism in the absence of any certainty, right? It's like I've got no certainty here, but fuck me, I'm optimistic, and like it's almost like it needs to work. For me,
Yeah.
it's like I've got that sort of like cutthroat mentality. It's like if I'm gonna do something, I'm just going to make it work. I've got no idea how I'm going to do it, but I do think that if you want to achieve any sort of like rip roaring success, I think an element of you does need to be delusional. What do you think?
Yeah, delusional, and also I attribute a lot of that personally to just upbringing, to just like the lack
Mm,
back then. The previous lack allowed me to thrive now because
mm,
I'm just comparing my current self to the self that I was back then and who I wanted to be back then, and I'm getting closer to that image. Of course, that image is changing all the time, but and developing, I guess, is a better word. But yeah, definitely delusion because if you were to look at me, if you were to look at you 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
mm,
we wouldn't have been I wouldn't have been posting the kind of videos that I've been posting, or I wouldn't have reached out to somebody like you to
mm.
help me do a skill set such as approaching girls in broad daylight, such as like something that's so anxiety inducing, so scary, so out of the norm. And yeah, a portion of it is the delusion, and also the unattachment from, I don't want to say unattachment from outcome, but there is a portion of you that has to detach from
Mm.
outcome to do things such as this and hard things. So I think that yes, maybe we're a bit delusional, but also like there's a lot of like skills or characteristics about us that we've developed that weren't there initially, but have been developed through lack, through
Mm.
doing difficult things because we had to, because we wanted to get to a better place in life, and we were born with the beautiful genetics, which I think, to be fair, few people really start looking as good as they end up looking.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
I'm kind of
especially
going on a few different tangents,
no,
but
especially with men, definitely. I think more men need to be educated on the male journey and realizing that as a man, if you do look after yourself, your value is peaking around 37, 38. Like I do genuinely believe that. Like a lot of my clients now, they're in that age bracket. It's like the typical, high achieving, busy city worker, like lawyer, doctor, surgeon, investment banker. And I'm meeting them. I'm like, what, like 10, 11 years their senior. I'm just so curious about them. I'm like, yeah, I've got like they've paid me to get better at this skill set, but like I'm observing people. I think that's always been one of my best superpowers, like how I was able to grow, like observing like life and
yeah,
people. Like if you go to like a super expensive like coffee shop or a cigar lounge and you just sit there and you just watch how these like really wealthy, successful people move. Like they're not
mhm,
they're not going around in like flashy designer clothes. They're very
right,
understated. The way they operate, the way that they speak to other people, the way they look at other people. It's like it's such an interesting thing for me. So like I always say that I learn as much from my clients as my clients learn from me. And I think a big part of us working together, and it ties into the title of the live stream, is it's deeper than just day game, right? Like I always use that phrase. I use it a lot with us, with life game, right?
right,
Like actually building yourself holistically as a man. So I do think there's a misconception in this space where guys think all they need to do is approach, and the more
Right.
approaches they do, the more successful with women or whatever they're going to be. And I think, yeah, repetition is important to build consistency, to try out new things, all that stuff. But I do think that men are misguided when it comes to what actually matters, and becoming that full package. I think
Yeah.
you're a shining example of that now, because obviously we spent 4 weeks together, and it wasn't just about day game. In fact, I would say the day game, as the weeks went on, actually played a smaller role, because you'd
Yeah.
accelerated your progress, you've got the playbook, and then you almost reached this point where you were like, what now? Like, what's
Yeah.
next? Like, you're
Yeah.
almost like hungry for elevation. So like,
Yeah, which is probably like a pretty common theme
mm,
in people that like reach success in any area. And when
yeah,
when you were speaking, I was thinking about like, okay, if we were to like simplify a lot of this, what would it be? And it would really just be like that element of, it's like drive paired with curiosity,
mm,
and maybe
mm,
like humility somewhere in the middle there, where
mm,
you're a great example too. Even though you're the coach, you're still you're still looking at the person in a way of like, what can I learn, what value can I pull from this
mm,
person while I'm adding value, what can I learn, how can I implement their teachings into my life. And that is literally like my claim to fame. It's just working, washing windows, meeting somebody who recruits me into a pyramid scheme. Sure,
mm,
morally maybe that wasn't the best route, I was a naive 18-year-old, but the point is, it was the curiosity element that got me into that scenario. That's what exploded my social skills. It was like, okay, what books should I be reading, what kind of jobs should I be looking for, and why. And just
mm,
like asking questions to people that were further along than me in the area that I wanted to grow in. So once it came, I mean, football for an example, right, being coached, and then we take that to programming, seeking out some sort of a boot camp to teach me quickly. And then
mm,
now this space, which is okay, I can feel that there's like a lack in this area of my life. And coming across your content at that perfect time was like, okay, well, I can just trade something as insignificant as dollars, which I know that I'm going to get back, which I know I'm going to be
yeah,
making until the day I die. And I know that I'm going to be making it because I've never been homeless, even though I've had almost zero in balance in my bank account. So it's like I'm always going to figure out how to get dollars back. So why would I not, at 23 years old, invest it into a skill that I've always wanted to learn, that can benefit me in so many ways? Which, in hindsight, I didn't know at the time looking forward, but now I'm like, okay, it benefited me way more than just learning how to pick up girls. It's like
mm,
now I can really, it's like I can become the sort of person that, because I'm willing to go through the discomfort now, I can just show my journey and inspire others to start their own journey and do the same. And that's like the value that I really pulled from it was, wow, if I'm able to like put myself through all of these difficult, uncomfortable situations, just
mm,
approaching girls happening to be one of them, then people can learn from that just through the osmosis, just through the energy that I'm giving off, the energy transfer comes off. I don't know. I don't remember what your question was, but
No, it's fun. There was no question. It's just a free flow discussion of the best type. I think being
yeah,
able to being able to document the becoming rather than
yeah,
just celebrating the being is everything when it comes to creating. I don't even like to use the word content. I see like videos, podcasts, blogs. I see them as like individual pieces of art. I think anyone who creates things and puts them out there into the world, that we are artists to an extent. And like I was having this discussion with myself, like literally last night. Is what I do, just talk to myself, and I was like, what is an artist, right? I was like, oh, what is an artist? I was like, well, an artist is brave. Like, an artist doesn't wait for permission to sing, to act, to dance. The artist just does. And artists are able to
Mm,
be brave, to put themselves out there into the world, to risk public rejection or public humiliation. And I think now watching
mm,
you create this, like the channel that you've got, I think I'm almost more fulfilled from that than
yeah,
the coaching, the day game side, because it's like, oh fuck, like I've been a somewhat catalyst for not just one element of your life, but your life holistically. And it's like I want everyone who's associated with me to win, right? Like if you make a video and it gets 1 million views,
Right.
I feel a win there. If you
Right.
if guys start like coming to work with you, and you're making a business out of this, and you're spreading value across the fucking states and beyond, then it's like
Yeah.
that. Like, I feel that win. Or if you go and get fucking married to an amazing girl who you met at the fucking McDonald's, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like you Americans. What's the girl like you do in a place like this? I'm
Right.
American. But yeah, it's wins for me across the board. And I didn't used to be like that. Like, being an only
Right.
child, growing up in like a
Mhm.
single parent household, I used to be very jealous. Right, I
Mhm.
used to see other people succeeding as almost like it's preventing me from succeed. I didn't have the mindset of abundance. Right, I was like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there's plenty of success to go around. Just because someone else wins doesn't mean that you lose. It's like it's this thing. But like, I had to train myself, and I think becoming a coach, it really helped me, or it's certainly helping me like strip back my own layers of bullshit. And like,
Yeah.
I think we've all got that child inside of us. Like, if you're at the gym, for example, or if I should use I rather than you. If I'm at the gym and I see someone who has got a better body than me, a former
Yeah.
version of me would have felt a sense of lack. Now I feel inspiration. Now I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Look at what the human body is capable of. That guy must have slogged his
Yeah.
absolute guts out to get that. I want to train harder now. Thank you, anonymous stranger, for inspiring me into action. But my former self would have felt so insecure. I'd have been like, oh my God, Kristian, we're putting
Absolutely.
all this work in, and there's still people better than us. Oh, he's probably got better genetics. Oh, I bet girls are going to want him more than me. Oh no, like all this like
Right.
cataclysmic bullshit. And I always say to people, like, this process, it'll change your fucking life. It's not just about picking up girls. It's way deeper than that. It's literally like holding up a mirror to where you're at,
Yeah.
like literally putting a spotlight under your own self-limiting beliefs and insecurities. Like, there's nowhere to hide with this. A
Well,
good German friend of mine said, "Only judge a man once you've seen him in field." It's such a German thing to say, like, only judge a man once you've seen him in the field. But I do think it's true. I think you really
hmm,
get to know what a man is like when you see him in the cold approach environment. Some guys take to it really quick. Some like squirm and pussy out. It's like, mate, you knew what you come here for. It's like, go to swing
right,
gala
right.
and complain about getting wet. Like, come on, let's do it. But I think the guys who really succeed with this are simply the guys who just want it. And I think that's why you're able to smash it out the park in Warsaw. You knew exactly what you signed up for. You turned
Yeah.
up. Yeah, you were scared. Yeah, you were nervous. Yeah, you had your own doubts, whatever. But you just wanted it. Like, you really just did want it. And like, I've not worked with anybody who had the same level of like ferocious commitment that you've had. Is that something that you've always had, or is it something you've
I,
learned?
well, I think that I want to what I attribute that to is really just like the characteristic of coachability, but I think that there's just more layers to it, to that description, because I think humility is really the baseline. Like,
Mm,
I think it's such an underrated skill, really, is like the ability to not see yourself as the authority figure, the ability to take advice and implement advice from other people. Just that, like, that whole description there is what feeds into that ability to take advice from coaching in this space, in day game and approaching women. So yeah, definitely something that's been developed, but it's not like it's something that's exclusive to me. It was just like how do I want to put this? Like, it's just that being coachable, I've realized through reps, through doing it in other areas, is what produces the result, is just the curiosity, just asking the questions, going down the different rabbit holes in the different spaces, and actually implement. Like, the important part here is not just like hearing the advice and letting it go out one ear, but actually like implementing the advice
mm,
regardless of how uncomfortable it is. And I think a better way to put this too is like, I've been able to like automate different areas of my life. So rather than taking your route, which is honestly the more noble route of teaching yourself this over the course of, let's say, 3 years, I was like, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to start from like recording myself on the floor. I don't want to do all that shit. How about I pay the guy that did all of that and I just literally steal his brain for a month and like wring it out and just like use everything that I'm learning from the 3 years of experience in this space that he's built up and just try to like plug it in. It's funny. It's actually really, it parallels to programming. What I do for work is because like all we do is try to make things more efficient. It's like, why would I repeat the same thing over and over again. Let's extract it and let's create a function for it so that every time I want to use this, I can just
Mm,
plug something in and get the output out. So that's kind of like I'm just taking that and plugging that into different areas of life.
mm,
And in this space, it looked
mm,
like reaching out to you and actually listening, implementing the advice, and just like trusting you and just saying, all right, fuck it. Like he's gonna tell me to do these drills. I'm
mm,
gonna do these drills. I'm gonna get the result. Like if one equals, if 1 + 1 is 2, the
mm.
transitive property says that I'm gonna get the results.
Yeah, I'm a believer now. I never used to be. I used to be like, oh, fuck off, mate. In the whole, like, the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Like, I get flooded with random comments all fucking day. I get weird emails, weird DMs on Instagram, whatever. And there's always like this weak mentality amongst men today, where they're all not. I shouldn't say where they're all. That's unfair. But there are a lot of guys who will reach out to me, and they're just weak, right? They just want easy, quick fix, magic bullet solutions. And it's like, oh, what's the easiest way to do this? Or, oh, it's easier to swipe. It's easier to use dating apps. So why would you use, why would you do cold approach? It doesn't make sense, bro. Like, why don't you just swipe? Why don't you just DM girls on Instagram? And it's like, there's only so much I can say to that, because I do think that people resonate with people. Like I
Mm,
don't think my approach is for everybody. I'm not a quick fix person. I'm not an
mm,
instant graphic. I think day game is the ultimate process of delayed gratification, because you're just getting
yeah,
fucking pummeled, mate. If you're like,
yeah,
especially if
you
you're
are.
doing this on your own, like you're going out there, you no fucking idea what it's a bit like. I'm not a meditator, but I've got friends who are like
Yeah,
into meditation. They say it's kind of very similar. Like when you're first meditating, you're sat there, like fucking looking around for like 10 minutes, being like, mate, is this working? And because we're
yeah,
so fucking like plugged in to this quick fix culture, like, everything's available to us at the swipe of a screen or the touch of a button. Like, we can't just sit down for 10 minutes. And if we do sit down after those 10 minutes, we're like, huh, nothing happened. Oh, meditation doesn't work.
yeah,
It's like saying like
right,
marketing doesn't work, or like Facebook ads don't work. It's like, it's not the process that doesn't work. You're the problem. Like, this only works if you do. And I actually went
yeah,
through a process with my own marketing where, because I follow a lot of Alex Hormozy, as I know you do,
mm,
and
yeah,
in $100 million offers, he says like he breaks down value, and he says one of the key components of value is a perceived lack of effort, right? So I tried to market my services to people in a way that would make them think that they didn't have to do a lot. And now I
mm,
recognize that that was a massive mistake, like my personal
mm,
strategy like a year ago, because it's not easy. Like, it's
right,
not. There's no way you can hack your way through cold approach. You really can't. It's like,
no,
if you want to lose weight, you could get a gastric band. Boom, you're in. Right? Or if you want to like de-stress yourself, you go on fucking, what is it, Xanax or whatever. Like, there are
right,
magic bullets for that. There's no magic bullets. There is no quick fix culture associated with cold approach. So now, when I'm on the phone to people, or even like on the Calendly booking page, I'm like, listen, mate, like, do not sign up to work with me if you're not prepared to work. Like, this is not for the faint-hearted. You'll get out what you put into it. Like, I will go above and beyond to help you, but like, you have to be prepared to put the reps in. Because I've had
yeah.
like experiences in the past where guys turned up and he almost just expected, like, it's like he thought
Like, where's the
information.
girls?
Yeah, he thought information would result in implementation without him
Mm,
needing to do anything. It's like, mate, I will give you the playbook. I will hold you accountable, but you physically have to go in there. I can't do the talking for you. I'm not going to stick my hand up your ass and be like a fucking ventriloquist. It's like, it's on you. And now I make guys aware my prices are very expensive. I'm not apologetic about it. Someone just asked me, Kristian, can I have a discount off your fucking course? No, you can't. I'm not selling cheap products to cheap people.
right,
Right? If you
right,
can't afford my stuff, either accumulate your finances to a respectable level. I don't even know what course you're talking about. If you don't know about that course, which is $29.99, then day game's not the thing you need to be focusing on my
right.
fucking your financial freedom aspect. But
Yeah,
it's just like it just baffles me, because it's like, and also, like, to that question, I would say, please do not buy my course if you're struggling to afford it, because the reason you're buying it is because you want this quick fix magic bullet solution. Right? Realistically, the courses and the products that I put out, they're put out to give you a stepping stone, to give you a sense of, right, I'm taking action now. You get exclusive content, you get more connected to me, but Like, don't just go around like buying courses just because they're cheap because you think, right, this is a solution to all my problems. It's not. Like, you
So,
do. Go on.
well, I was gonna say, so what you're saying now actually is like kind of reminding me of something that I wanted to bring up. It's
Yeah.
loosely related to the topic that you're mentioning about like the type of person that you want working with you, and
Yeah.
really it's that like this you're the way you're framing it makes it seem as though it's and this isn't because you're framing it this way, but someone might hear this and think this is binary, like you're either the person that you would want to work with or you're not. And in reality, it's like getting yourself to the threshold. It's like
Exactly.
you're here now, but
Yeah.
there are things that you can do
Yeah.
physically, socially, financially to like
Yeah.
push yourself over the edge to where now you're ready to work with you. You're ready to get into this space.
100%. Like, you might not be ready to work with me right now, but in a year, if you take the necessary action steps, then I hope you will be, and I will
Right,
delight you beyond belief. Like, I take my client journeys so seriously. Like, my biggest fear is anybody leaving feeling disappointed, and that's why
right,
when guys invest
right,
their money into my service, like, I'll be there for you. It's not just like, oh, I want you to be successful for like a fucking weekend or a day or whatever. Like, I'm in your corner for as long as you want me to be there. But all I ask in return is that you actually give this 100%. And like, if you
right,
are not in a place in your life where you are financially struggling, or you're out of shape, you've got toxic habits, your mental health is not on point. Like, I'm not another one of those fucking charlatans who's going to sell you a dream and then maybe you'll get results, maybe you won't. See you later. Thanks for working with me. Ta-ra. Like, they just don't
right,
care. Like, there's just so many
right,
people in this space, or just the online space in general, just charlatans. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck
right,
about making friends with their clients. Like, I've got guys in
right,
my group who are like, I coached 2 years ago, or like 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago. It's just like, we work together. You're my friends. But
yeah.
like with all my friends, like, I'll tell you what you need to know rather than what you want to hear. If you're being a pussy, because I want the same feedback as well. Like, I like having guys in my group such as yourself who can just say, "Oh well, that's interesting, but I actually think this. Like, I disagree with that. Have you considered this?" And I think
So
we just need that feedback.
so talking about the group here, I'm curious. I don't really know the answer to this yet, but why is it that this community that you've been able to build, why is it so effective? Because I would have never been the person to initiate a group chat like this where we're throwing out just like abstract ideas and it's not I mean it can get technical, but oftentimes it's not. It's really just from like a high level. Why is this sense of community even important to you? What do you think it does for us? And then like how do you think it affects like how we're able to produce? Just what are your general thoughts on that sense of community that you've been able to build?
So I think it's a really good question. I would frame it in this way. I think the two things that people want most in life are healthy relationships and strong communities. I think if you found any
Mm,
millionaire in the world who's got millions in the bank, but he's lacking strong relationships and strong friendships, he would trade all of that money in a heartbeat to be loved and to be
mm,
respected. That's what men, I think, genuine that's what men want. They want to receive love from the feminine and respect from the masculine. I think that is the ideal reality. If you're waking up in the morning, you've got women or one woman who just absolutely adores you, who will do anything for you, like the classic ride or die. And you've also got friends who you can go out
mhm,
with, you can bounce ideas off. If your fucking wife has been a little bit pain in the ass, you can talk about it with the guys. Or even if you're just experiencing like relationship issues, you've got your
mhm,
guys to soundboard with, rather than just like having your woman being your like one and only, like, just
right,
talking to her about everything. So I think those are the two most important things in life. I genuinely do think that it's relationships and community. And because I didn't
right,
have those things growing up, I've always felt this massive lack in my life where I was like, well, I didn't. I think when you do start off from a place of lack, like you explained, it for me anyway, it just gave me this strong like desire to be to look after people. I think,
mm,
like, to give people a sense of community where they are witnessed, they are
right,
important, and they do actually matter. And I think the reason that the community that I've built is so strong is because I give an outrageous level of care. I think
yeah,
because I genuinely care about the people who I'm associated with, it doesn't matter if it's like 1 a.m. or I've just got off a flight and I'm really tired or I'm having a really bad day. if my people need something from me, like I'll be there, right? It's not like, right, I'll set this up and then, oh, how can I outsource this? How can I fucking get AI to
Right.
send on
Right.
automated voice messages to my clients? Like, what's the least amount of effort I can do to make
Right.
the most amount of money? I don't care about that. I'm not
Right.
motivated by materialistic trophies. I'm motivated by personal and group satisfaction, right? Just knowing that I've actually had a positive and benevolent impact on the people who have demonstrated faith into me. That's how I see money. I view money, I've got different definitions of it, but money to me is oxygen. It allows me to breathe. It allows me to continue breathing in a world that I love. But also money is validation as well, right? Like when I charge high ticket prices, like Hormozy always says, it's like it's a game, right? Like business, life, it's playing like the infinite game rather than like, oh, how much money can I make a month? It's like, oh, how can I be number one? But yeah, for how long? Like if you're playing like the finite game, you're gonna lose. But if you're playing the infinite game and you're just what's the phrase, like play to play, that's just a
Yeah.
beautiful place to be. Because it's like, well, we're just here and it's nice and it's fun. And yeah, sometimes it sucks, but like sometimes it's good as well. So I just think, yeah, for me, like starting off from that place of life, like having no friends, fucking no romantic options, just feeling as though like I was just like a worthless piece of shit for a good amount of my life. It's like, oh well, now I can just give something back and just like help other people feel like less lost in the world. But that's and also the final thing I'll say, this doesn't mean that I'm gonna be a fucking mother too, yeah? Like, I'll be both parents too, yeah. I'll be the strict father and the nurturing mother. Because sometimes, like, because I do have a good level of social intelligence, I know when guys are just being pussies and they just need to be told, listen, mate, you're here for a reason. We're either going to do this or we're not. You paid a lot of money for this. So either, get your finger out your ass or stop crying about it. Or if I feel as though a guy does just need more of that nurturing love, basically that nice feminine energy, then I can give that to him. It's a little bit like when the child falls off the climbing frame, right? When the child falls off the climbing frame, first of all, the child needs a love from mother, being like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm here for you. I've got you. You're safe
Right.
now." But then he needs the authoritarian, tyrannical cadence from father, being like, "Right, why did you fall off the climbing frame? How can we avoid this happening?" It's the emotional mixed with the logical. I
Right.
think
Right.
most guys or coaches or whatever very one-dimensional beings. They think, right, to be a man, I just need to do, I have to be dominant, I need to be alpha, I need to be robot, robot man. This is how I win. This is how women will respect me. But I do think that they are severely misguided. I think they're being brainwashed by the brain dead in this whole red pill manospheric content. Like, oh, be a high value man, fucking whatever, just like you need to be this, this, and this. And if you're not this, this, and this, if you're showing emotions and you're connected with that nurturing side, then you're some like fucking weirdo. It's like, no, I just think that's a bad delusional mindset because you're only experiencing half of your identity. Like we're born from the masculine and the feminine. So I think it's our God-given right to be able to honor both of those energies and always be asking yourself, what does the moment want? That's why now when I'm on dates with girls, they'll say things like, I can't work you out. Like you're not like a typical lad. I don't understand it. It's like 1 minute you like this, 1 minute you like that. I don't get it. Like there's something different going on here. I think it's being able to tap into the masculine and feminine energies. I think it's a man's greatest superpower, actually, if he can actually be in tune with the side of himself that maybe he feels ashamed of.
Very interesting. There's a lot there,
Yeah, there
but
was.
there's one thing. There's one thing that you mentioned towards the end there that brought it kind of stirred something up in me. So it's your approach to. So if we were to like go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, we talked about like why was I so attracted to you, like your approach to this whole thing, and I think like you just helped me answer it. The reason is because a lot of the stuff that I was consuming up until the point where I reached out to you was framing things in a way where it was like the girl was in the wrong and the guy is just this victim that, due to unfortunate circumstances, has to deal with the evil girl that's always going to be cheating on them, that's always going to be throwing shit tests at him, and so he unfortunately has to learn this red pill content in order to like to combat this, whereas your approach is so completely opposite. It's we're equal, and you just need to radically develop yourself, and as a byproduct of that, you can also develop these skills. So like if you're developing yourself socially, just holistically, as a byproduct of that, you can do cold approach. As a byproduct of fixing your mental state and the way that you view the lens through which you view the world, if you're able to like to change that from a victim kind of a mentality to somebody that can conquer, to somebody that can achieve, to somebody that can strive and work hard, then as a byproduct of that, you can also now you've unlocked the ability to learn how to cold approach, to learn how to do day game, to learn how to do these different things. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm curious on your take there, but that's like I think that's truly what attracted me to your teaching style, your coaching style was that rather than taking this backseat victim mindset, oh, unfortunately, the girl is always going to cheat on me, so I have to learn these tactics to combat that to prevent. It's like, nah, we can just radically, aggressively develop ourselves in all different facets of life, and as a byproduct of that, we can also attract women. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. But like, I think like a lot of, and I've gone down the rabbit hole so many times, like, falling down the whole, like, right, be a high value man, like, it's us versus them, it's this
Yeah,
war of the sexes, it's competitive rather than collaborative. And I see that space now from like a transcendent perspective, having spent a lot of time in there. And I just
right,
see it as a bunch of scared, lost little boys who just deeply want to be wanted, just severely insecure people who needs to play the manipulation games because they want to be the one who doesn't get hurt.
right.
That's really all it is, and I can say that with complete certainty because I've played that game. I've
Yep,
I've been in relationships with women where I've been manipulative. I've
yep,
been applying these tactics because I
yeah,
thought this is what's going to really give me this validation from the feminine. This is what she wants. Like this is how you play the game. And I understand like why guys are there. I understand how easy it is to get trapped there. If you are consuming a lot of this manospheric content where it's very anti-women, but
mm,
it's like it doesn't make any sense to me because like realistically as humans we all just want the same things. Like we all just want to connect, we want to be
mm-hmm,
loved for who we are rather than what we have. So why are we just playing these childish playground games? Why can't we just say to the world, listen, I'm insecure as fuck, these are my flaws, I'm working on myself, I'm doing everything within my power to be as good as possible, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I fucking hate my life. I'm like, oh, avalanche of anxiety, bombarded by my own bullshit, thinking, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel lost in it. That's absolutely fine. I don't know why we have to try and pretend that we're these paragons of perfection that feel no emotion. I think the best
yeah,
thing you can do is actually feel emotion. Like why I don't know why
yeah,
we're all trying as men to like be so. It's not even stoic. I think like the whole stoic thing has been like severely misinterpreted. I think people think, oh, stoic is just you have to be a robot. Like for me, stoicism is just being able to say to yourself, no matter what, I can handle it. Yeah, you might be going through a turbulent emotional shitstorm in your life right now. You might have had some bad news. You might be, doubting yourself. Like when I got fucking banned from America, I was in that room
right,
getting interrogated by the federal guys. I wasn't my charismatic, chirpy self there, was I? Fuck, I was shitting it. I was
yeah.
so scared. I was thinking, am I going to get like thrown into some American jail? And like
That's the worst
that was
kind.
yeah, no, right? Fucking
They
flick the
they
switch,
they, they
fucking
have
Big
McDonald's in
Macs.
them and
Yeah,
everything.
I bet they're gonna be shooting Big Macs in my house.
Yeah.
Tell me you love me. But like, like I just think like as not even like just as men, but I think like as people, if we do want to have these beautiful, nourishing relationships, then yeah, do everything you can to look and feel as good as possible. 100% do that. Like go to the gym, like sprint up and down hills, spend more time outside, spend time with good people, get a great paying job, do all of that stuff. Like acquire materialistic trophies because it's fun. It's fun to play that game, right? It's fun to like
Yeah,
to acquire things. But I do think there is space, necessary space for just being able to just be honest with yourself. You don't even have to do it with real people. Just be with
yeah,
yourself and just be like, huh, I feel quite shit right now. Don't know why, but I'm just gonna sit with this and actually just like enter the moment with yourself. Because like now when I meet people, like I'm so tapped into the moment because you can tell someone who's there and someone who isn't. It's like someone
mhm,
comes over to you, it's like, oh hi, how are you? Oh well, wait, what's your name
yeah,
again? Like they're just so hurried. But if someone comes over to
yeah,
you, it's like, really good to meet you. Like, how are you doing? You can just tell that immediately, and that's how you forge these beautiful connections. It's like literally just being there in the moment. And yeah, you could
right,
probably meditate. I'm not really an advocate of it. I don't really see much value in just sat on the floor, just being like, yeah, this is. I think like true meditation is being able to be calm in the chaos. So like doing something that is difficult, inherently difficult, and just being able to manage your stress in a highly stressful environment. Like when I was like, getting interrogated in fucking police thing, like just being able to like control my own mind. Like for me, that's the best meditation practice there is, when you're able to actually be calm in high stress environments. I've got no fucking idea what the question was, but yeah, hopefully I said something there
No,
somewhat valuable.
yeah, you touched on it. Yeah, and interesting. Yeah, I like the examples that you used. I remember the interrogation video. That was one of my favorite videos to watch from you. But yeah, you're talking about high stress, being able to like handle yourself in high stress environments, and then also like to go a bit further back. You're talking about like being scared of like being scared of being perceived and judged, and I think that's why, like, that is what builds up the ego for me. Was like, if we're talking about why are we seeing it, why are we viewing it as like man versus woman, why are we having to play these tactics, why are we feeling insecure? And for me, I just think it goes all the way back to, yeah, just the school days, to like being ridiculed for having a crush, for having text message screenshots sent to everybody about, oh, this is what Ephraim is saying to this girl. And so I think it really was like built up. It feels like we're almost, and this of course isn't everybody's experience, but I see that a lot of the times where it's just like we're seasoned to be scared to show intent, to be scared to put ourselves out there, to be scared to be vulnerable in public, because if you were in high school doing that, people would capitalize on that for popularity for whatever reason. And so now if we were to translate that into today, even though it's been 5-6 years, it still like hangs in the back of your head when you're trying to express yourself, when you're trying to be vulnerable. And so it's a lot of unlearning that we're having to do in order to then move forward and be able to express ourselves like that. So yeah, a lot of the journey from where I was to up until the point where I met you was a very long journey. It's funny, like it took years of unlearning, years, and then years of learning on top of that, to get to the point where now I'm ready to learn how to approach girls. It's like that was the true journey. And then the approaching just took 4 weeks of fucking pounding it, just pounding the pavement 4 weeks, and I'm there. So it's like people might see that. They might see like the 4-week journey.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this guy's a fucking natural. Like all it took, but really it was the 6 years before that. That was the true journey that allowed me to then capitalize on that and start learning the skill set.
How much time do you have, by the way? I'm not sure what time you need to leave.
Yeah, around now. I mean, if you have any other thoughts, I'm still open to talking about.
No, that's absolutely fine. I was just, the final thing that I was going to ask is, you've started your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like why you started it and what guys can expect to get if they go over and connect with you over there.
Yeah, so really, I started it because, one, I wanted a way to document like my own journey on where I was to where I am, and now for sure where I'm going, because I plan on going a lot further than I am. So yeah, that's what I started it. What is it about? It's really just me talking about my journey, me talking about the things that I've learned along the way, not in a authoritarian, like, this is what you should do, but this is what I did. If you find value in it, if you think it aligns with the way that you operate, and you can find success in like implementing the teachings that I've learned, that I didn't come up with, but I've learned, then you should do so. But as far as what to expect, yeah, just like general content about how I deal with girls. I mean, it's a wide array of stuff, like from how I text girls and like the actual text technically, to like how I think about high level things, how I think about it, why I move in the world the way that I do. It'll be even more technical. I'll probably go into things about like dress, maybe facial expressions, actual talking points, but yeah, just high level stuff about, really, it's just like to summarize it in a sentence, it's a channel to show my journey from being very bad with women to being less bad with women, and how I got from point A to point B. So that's what's to expect.
Yeah, no, I'll include you in the title, and I'll put your links in the description as well, and then guys can go along. Hopefully a lot of the guys are already familiar anyway, because we made a good amount of content in Warsaw.
Yeah, we did.
Great. Like, I remember just bringing that on, just getting the tripod, sticking it down, and be like, right, we're gonna create content today. It's like, oh fuck, I didn't even give you the topic. I just like switch it on, big like people everywhere. Let's make a video about becoming the most fuckable version of yourself. People like looking over like fucking school children. You're like, what does that mean?
Pandas, animals, is ridiculous.
Fucking dancing panda, man.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, definitely. I look forward to more of those experiences with you in the future.
Yeah.
Like I always say,
Potentially
like
Mexico City. Who knows?
yeah, 100%, man. Like you have to just play the game right with your work, and I'll see you in Mexico, and then we can
Absolutely.
start doing more of these fucking like in person stuff as well. Anyway, I'll let
Yeah.
you go. Like I say, you can find all of Ephraim's stuff. I'll link it in the description. Go over, subscribe to him, show him love. He's gonna be pumping out a ferocious amount of content. So yeah, it's best time to get involved in your content really, because you are just documenting the journey. And I think that's the most valuable place to be. It's like you are in the becoming phase, not the being. And I think, you're not
Right.
sitting there, your ivory tower being like, I've figured it all out. It's like, here's what I'm doing. I hope it's valuable for you as well. So I think that's the most valuable content that people can watch right now. So yeah, follow his stuff, click the links, subscribe to him, like all of his fucking videos. If anyone dislikes any of his videos, I'm going to shove marshmallows up your nostrils until you bleed out your anus. Right, you have been warned. For
You
anybody who's
have
asking for
been.
discounts off courses, so anyway, all right, thank you. I'm going to let you get on with your day. I'll speak with you
All right.
soon.
Stay sexy.